Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. For today's video I'm going to be talking about a subject that is very close to my heart and a one that I can really connect with, and that is, does social media promote suicide, bad mental health and self-harm? Now this has been on the news recently here in the UK, and it was basically following the story, this horrible story of this young girl who unfortunately took her own life after she saw posts on social media that were promoting self-harm and suicide. And I do just want to say that my heart goes out to everyone involved, everyone who knew that young girl and the young girl herself. It's very, very, very sad that she took her own life. And so basically this is turning into a very, very, very big thing because of that story. The health secretary here in the UK has actually threatened social media giants like your Facebook, your Instagram, Twitter, and what they have to do is they basically have to remove any kind of material that is or seems to be promoting self-harm, suicide and poor mental health. Now I will say that on social media I do agree that sometimes self-harm, suicide, bad mental health are glamorized in some way, and I do think that we should definitely stop that. But basically what is going to happen if the social media giants don't listen to the health secretary, the social media here in the UK, it's going to face legislation. So is it looking likely that we could ban social media here in the UK? Maybe. I mean, I don't think that that's something that's impossible. I definitely feel like that could very, very well happen if the social media people do not listen to the health secretary. So this is turning into this massive, massive, massive threat. And I mean, what I'm going to say before I get any further into this discussion is I think there is a very fine line between promoting suicide, self-harm, bad mental health and sharing your experience with those things in order to help others and to share your story. I think is very important, but there is definitely a fine line and a fine difference between sharing your experience to try to help other people and promoting self-harm, suicide and bad mental health. There's definitely a difference between the two, and what I don't want this to turn into is, you know, you can't speak about mental health, you can't speak about self-harm, and you can't speak about suicide at all. Even if it is, you know, you're trying to help other people by sharing your experience or sharing things like helpful websites and helplines, things like that. I don't want us to go back to a point where nobody spoke about self-harm, no one spoke about mental health or suicide. So I hope that if anything does come out of this, that, you know, we don't go too far, and, you know, because there is a difference between actually promoting those things and then sharing your experience with those things in order to try to help other people going through a similar situation. So I do hope that they wouldn't wipe out everything completely. I mean, I share my experience here on YouTube with mental health, self-harm and things like that, and having sharing my experience is very, very, very important to me because I want to try to help other people. But I do definitely agree that on social media quite often they do tend to glamorize things like this, and this is something that social media giants should have clamped down on. We should not be glamorizing self-harm, we should not be glamorizing suicide, nor should we be glamorizing mental health issues. So that definitely is something that needs targeting, that needs sorting out and addressing. As long as it doesn't wipe out all of the people who are genuinely trying to just help those in need by sharing their experiences and letting them know that there is light at the end of the tunnel and things like that, you know. I really do hope that none of my videos or anyone else's videos sharing their experiences and trying to help others would be sacrificed because social media are having to really clamp down on mental health and all of that sort of stuff. I think it's important that we share our experiences with these things and raise awareness. And it is very, very different to actually promoting it, you know. They're two very different things, and I don't think that we should get those confused or mixed up. Now, I do actually have an article here that was written by The Telegraph on this situation, and it says Matt Hancock, who is the Secretary of State for Health and Social Care, has this weekend written to social media bosses warning them that action is urgently needed to ensure they do not breach the policies of internet providers. In the letter, Mr. Hancock expresses his growing concern over harmful content online and states it is appalling how easy it is to access content that leads to self-harm and promotes suicide. I definitely agree with that one. Like I said, you know, often with self-harm and poor mental health and issues surrounding the mental health, it's very often that things get glamorized like that on social media, and it's definitely wrong that there are people out there who are glamorizing self-harm and suicide and poor mental health, because it gives the people who are genuinely suffering with those kinds of things it's a bad stigma that gets attached, you know. And we need to help people who are genuinely being affected by self-harm, who are thinking about committing suicide and who genuinely have poor mental health problems, you know. We need to help those people. We do not need this sort of thing glamorizing. It's not something that should be made light of, and it's something that we should all be taking very seriously. So the article carries on by saying that the letter sent to corporate leaders on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat and Twitter, Pinterest, Google and Apple comes just days after father Ian Russell spoke out about how Instagram helped to kill his 14-year-old daughter Molly. Mr. Hancock says, "It is appalling how easy it still is to access the content online, and I am in no doubt about the harm this material can cause, especially for young people. It is time for internet and social media providers to step up and purge this content once and for all." I mean, what do you guys think on this? Let me know in the comment section down below. Do you think that the social media giants are going to take into consideration what Mr. Hancock is saying and actually do something about all of these sorts of things? Because it is very important, and it should be very high on Facebook's agenda, Instagram's agenda, all of the social media giants that we've mentioned in today's little video. You know, I think it should be one of their number one concerns, really, to just keep everyone as safe as possible. And I think that in this instance they can definitely do more. Or do you think that here in the UK we may actually ban social media, or some very, very strict laws will be put into place here in the UK surrounding social media? I mean, I find this very, very interesting, and to be quite honest, I'm very shocked that social media have not done something about this sort of content earlier, because it does get glamorized and there's no way around it. Of course it does. I've seen horrible posts glamorizing self-harm, and it's just disgusting and appalling in every sense of the matter. So it should get sorted out, and I really hope that the social media people really listen to Mr. Hancock and really take into consideration not just Mr. Russell, who unfortunately lost his 14-year-old daughter, but anyone else who felt like social media promoted self-harm, suicide, and poor mental health to them. There are actually loads of very interesting articles on this, particularly on the mentalhealth.org.uk website. There are several articles about social media and mental health and the relationship that they have. There's one that surrounds the elderly with self-harm, suicide, and mental health. And there's one particularly for younger people, or one that I looked into quite a lot was entitled "How Can We Stop Social Media Undermining Our Mental Health?" One of the articles on the mentalhealth.org.uk website actually says that one study suggests that whether or not comparing ourselves to others online can harm us depends on a number of factors, namely the degree to which we are comparing ourselves to what we see in our feeds and the amount of time we spend doing it. The degree to which we believe what we see is an accurate portrayal of reality, very, very interesting one there. And finally, the degree of perceived similarity between ourselves and the people we're comparing ourselves to. Based on this then, online comparison could be particularly harmful if we spend a lot of time comparing our lives to the highlights of our friends' lives. There is a lot more information on this, and everything that I used to create this video will be linked in the description box down below, along with my other podcast videos that I have done. So I'm going to leave this up to you. What do you guys think on this situation? Let me know in the comments section down below. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to leave this video a big thumbs up. And if you're new here, make sure to click on that subscribe button. And I hope to see you in my next video.